This is Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate, the podcast where we cover home buying, home selling, home improvement tips and ideas, market trends and developments, and investing in real estate. If you own real estate in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area, or want to own real estate here, then you're in the right place. Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate is hosted by Blake Watson, a real estate agent and investor in Tennessee and Georgia.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate, the podcast where we dive into the world of real estate, trends, tips, and strategies to help you make informed decisions about Chattanooga area real estate. I'm your host, Blake Watson, and I am an agent with Epique Realty, and I'm licensed in Tennessee and Georgia. And today, we are discussing one of the most powerful financial concepts in real estate, the compounding effect of appreciation. Now, Albert Einstein is credited with this quote, "Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it." Let that sink in there. The principle itself is undeniable. Compound interest, or in our case, compound appreciation, is a repetitive process that can increase gains or expenses over time, creating exponential growth. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, picking up more snow as it goes and gets bigger and bigger. Now, to illustrate, let's look at a simple example. Imagine you have an account with $100,000 that pays 5% interest each year. After 1 year, you don't have just the original $100,000. You've earned $5,000 in interest, making your total $105,000, right? Now, the following year, you earn interest on the entire $105,000, and so you actually earn more than $5,000 in interest, and so on and so forth. This exponential growth is what makes compound interest, or in real estate, appreciation, so powerful. But how does this apply to real estate, particularly here in Chattanooga? Well, let's dive into some local data. The Greater Chattanooga Realtors publishes housing statistics going back to 2010 on the Greater Chattanooga Realtors website. And if we look at the data going back to 2010, back then the median sales price of a home in our area was $128,000. You fast forward to August 2024, and that median sales price has grown to $330,000. Wow, that's an astounding increase, representing an average of about 7% appreciation per year over the past 14 and a half years. However, we all know that the pandemic years, 2020, 2021, and 2022, they saw unprecedented jumps in property values across the country, and that includes right here in Chattanooga. So those years had double-digit percentage increases, which is far from typical. So what we're going to do is get a more realistic view and take those 3 years out of our calculation and average the remaining years. So if we do that, and kick out those pandemic years, we find that property values in Chattanooga have increased by an average of about 5.4% annually since 2010. But for today's discussion, let's be even more conservative and use a 5% annual increase as our baseline. Now, what does this 5% appreciation mean in practical terms, right? Well, if you buy a home today for $330,000, that's the median sales price of a home today, August 2024, in the Chattanooga area, $330,000. If you buy that today and you have a 5% increase in the property value over the next year, it would be worth $346,500 a year from now. And another year later, that value rises to $363,825. And over time, this compounding effect can have a dramatic impact on your wealth. Now, of course, property values don't increase in a straight line. It's not precise 5% every year. That's an average of the past 14 years, kicking out the pandemic years. So we don't even use the 3 pandemic years. Those calculations, we just use the average of the other years from 2010 through 2014. And that's where we come up with that 5%. And that's an average. Some years are more, some years are less. Let's look a little further out over time with that compounding effect. Well, if you use the rule of 72, that's a simple financing formula where you divide 72 by the annual rate of return to estimate how long it will take for an investment to double. Using that rule of 72, we can calculate that at a 5% annual appreciation rate, a property's value will double in about 14 and a half years. So that $330,000 home that you buy today could be worth roughly $660,000 in 14 and a half years. That's the power of compounding in real estate. But wait, there's more. It gets even better when we consider another critical concept in real estate investing, and that is leverage. Now, before I get into a full discussion on leverage, I do want to point out that our friend Bruce Dodd from Chat Mortgage, he's a great mortgage broker here in town. Bruce was on episode 3 of the Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate podcast, which was dated January 3rd, 2024. And he did a great job on episode 3 of explaining not only appreciation, but also the principle of leverage in real estate. So if you want more details, definitely go back and listen to that interview with Bruce Dodd from episode 3. Now, here's my explanation. Leverage in financing is using borrowed money to increase the potential return on an investment. It's a strategy that allows you to use a relatively small amount of your own capital, your own cash, to make a much larger investment. For example, if you put 10% down on this $330,000 home, well, you're only investing $33,000 of your own money, yet you benefit from the appreciation on the entire $330,000 asset. So that's the illustration of leverage. You put down a small percent, say 10% down, and yet you receive the benefit of that appreciation on the entire 100% of the value of the asset. So if the property appreciates at 5% per year, your return isn't just on that $33,000 you invested, it's on the full $330,000. And this amplifies your returns, and it can significantly accelerate wealth building, especially over time with compounding. Let me do the illustration. If we go back to this $330,000 house, which again is the median price for a home in the Chattanooga area today, if you bought a home today for $330,000, you put 10% down, that's $33,000. That makes your loan $297,000. And you're getting a 30-year loan at 6.75% interest, which is about what you could find today. Understand I am oversimplifying because there are other costs involved. There's closing costs in buying real estate. There are taxes and insurance that you do pay over time. You are going to have some upkeep costs where you're doing maintenance and fixing things that break. Over 14 and a half years, you're going to have some appliances maybe go out, and you're going to have to do a little bit of work around the house to take care of it over the years. But let's just oversimplify this so you can work with the numbers in your head. If you buy a property today for $330,000, put 10% down, that's $33,000 that you've put down. That means you have a loan of $297,000. Again, I'm oversimplifying, but here you go. At the end of 14 and a half years, you'll still owe $225,000, but your property value will be $660,000, and you will have $435,000 in equity. Wow. So that $33,000 down payment will have grown to $435,000 in equity. And if you just take out your original $33,000, that gives you a $402,000 increase from your initial $33,000 down payment. So over 14 and a half years, that would equate to about 19.5% annualized rate of return on your $33,000 down payment. Need I say more? Wow, what a number and what an illustration of the power of real estate. Again, I have oversimplified, so understand there are some other costs involved, but your investment is still going to be remarkable. And the amazing thing is you get to live in the house the whole time. If I buy stock in the stock market, I don't get to live in New York City on the stock exchange. That's not what happens. But you get to live in this house. Instead of paying rent to someone else, you are building wealth with each month's payment, that you're actually paying down what you owe, as well as receiving appreciation on the property as it grows in appreciation. And of course, leverage also comes with risks. Borrowing money always means taking on debt, and if property values were to decrease, you could find yourself in a tough spot. But with careful planning, understanding the market, and being conservative in your projections, leverage can be a powerful tool to grow your wealth through real estate. I know it's a lot of numbers, but this is a powerful concept. Remember, Albert Einstein is the one who said it. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Let's try to understand this thing so that it can help you. And whether you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned investor, understanding and leveraging these concepts can be key to long-term financial success. And I would welcome the opportunity to come alongside you and go with you on that journey as you start building wealth through real estate. And I'm Blake Watson. You can contact me. I'm an agent with Epique Realty. My mobile phone is 423-315-1815, and my brokerage office phone is 888-893-3537. You can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn as Blake Watson and on Instagram as Rock and Roll Blake. My website is athomechattanooga.com. If this podcast has helped you understand compounding and leverage and the power that they have in real estate, well, then please share this podcast with a friend and help them too. And I ask you to also follow this podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. And until next time, I wish you all the best in your real estate journey.